We've spent over 10 years on air, shaping a generation of action motorsports, and now we're changing the game again. The best motorsports, the best action sports, and the best of pop culture with some epic guests thrown in. I am Jim Beaver, and this is the General Tire Jim Beaver Show with Brittany Cardone. Grab the popcorn. Welcome to the General Tire Jim Beaver Show with Brittany Cardone. Today's episode takes us out to Barstow and the California 300, where we threw down some radio with our partners at Kawasaki, who were there on site at the event, also doing some demos in the KRX and the all-new KRX 4-seat. And we threw down with Kawasaki athlete Carson Warnemont. Also brought in John Rawl, who has been with Kawasaki for a very long time. He talked about the brand and used to work in NASCAR, some motorsports stories, and we had Reed Nordine, formerly with Walker Evans Racing, who also has been with Kawasaki for years in various capacities. So, man, it was definitely a fun show, and that intro doesn't even give it justice. We went all over the board talking motorsports, talking fun travel stories. It's actually pretty bonkers, to be honest with you. So it's definitely worth the listen. It is definitely all over the place. Talk a little Kawasaki, but a whole lot of everything else, and sometimes not even motorsports related at all. But that's why you love this show. That's why you're going to love this episode. And we are going to take a short break, and we jump into things. We'll go into the show that was taped on site with Kawasaki at the California 300 right here on the General Tire Jim Beaver Show with Brittany Cardone. General Tire delivers for whatever life brings your way. General Tire's Grabber X3 all-season mud terrain tire offers aggressive styling and is engineered for durability with innovative performance features that are ready to carry you through extreme mud, dirt, and rock-covered terrain. For extreme traction that's ready for anything and rugged styling to match, look no further than the Grabber X3. General Tire delivers. Check out GeneralTire.com today. General Tire, official tire of the Jim Beaver Show.
Conditions off the pavement are always changing, so why settle for a light bar that just turns on and off? The Rigid Adapt is a revolutionary new light bar that will automatically select from 8 beam patterns that range from a widespread 90-degree flood to a 15-degree spot based on your vehicle's speed. Try that with your knockoff light bar. A dash-mounted controller allows the user to toggle between adaptive mode, beam patterns, and RGBW accent lighting. With Adapt, it's easier than ever to own the night.
Dig what you're hearing? Well, do us a favor. Head over to Apple Podcasts and rate, review, and subscribe to the General Tire Jim Beaver Show with Brittany Cardone and catch all of our back episodes. Welcome to the General Tire Jim Beaver Show with Brittany Cardone. We are here at the California 300, and I'm tired of doing interviews, except for I'm looking forward to this one.
I was confused on what you were just saying, but I forget you've been running around with microphone all day.
Yeah. So, Carson, you've done a couple interviews for a good reason. You're on the pole, at least in NA, right?
Yep, yeah. I've had to do a couple of interviews, but I'm not mad about it because we'll be starting up front tomorrow for this tough race. I think that's a good place to be.
So tell us about your excursion. You said your qualifying run was not perfect. So we've held off on not hearing the stories. I want to know the stories now. I want to know why it wasn't perfect.
Yeah, it was. We got a good start, and we hit all of our marks everywhere, and had a really good pace going. And then just going around the mountain, there's like a little connecting section from the first 4 miles of the race course to the last 4 miles of the race course, and it's, I don't know, maybe a mile long. It was all just new to me, and we did a little sight lap and thought I knew where I was going, but and there's so many trails out here in Barstow, it's pretty easy to get lost. And I was just blasting along wide open, and it kind of came to a Y in the road, and I just took the wrong Y.
He took the scenic route.
Yeah.
So was it your fault or the co-driver's fault?
I'll take the blame. I'm driving.
I like him because it's always the co-driver's fault, right?
Even though every driver always says it's always the co-driver's fault.
When have I ever blamed you?
No.
Brittany Lynn, when have I ever blamed you?
I laughed because he just said that. He goes, I'll take the blame, even though everyone already says it's the co-driver's fault.
Maybe if we're like second or third, maybe then I want to take the blame. All jokes aside, I mean, we still did good. I mean, I don't even think I really lifted. I just knew that got told we're going the wrong way, so I just pointed it towards the signs and mowed down some bushes and a couple course markers. So
he just described our life.
I think I owe Matt a couple course markers. I'm sorry about that.
An off-track excursion and then just mow everything down.
The scenic route. We talk about this all the time. That's pretty much exactly how it goes. We don't purposely take the scenic route.
Sometimes we do.
Yeah. Whatever you want to tell yourself, buddy.
Oh,
more fun.
Yeah. So you're on a bender of races, though. What, you were at Cedar City last week?
Yep.
And you raced the Legacy race there. You're racing this weekend. You're not doing the Best in the Desert one, right?
No Best in the Desert this year for us. We're building a brand new car next year to race some of the Best in the Desert races. So, we've got our current car that we'll race like all the Martelli races and some Legacy races, and we got a brand new car to match the new Best in the Desert rules, so we'll be at Parker with that car. So after this race, it's all hands on deck getting that thing finished because we got a long ways to go on it. But it'll be pretty cool. If people thought that this car was kind of something different and groundbreaking, they're really gonna not like this new car we're building. I can tell them that.
Well, it's just funny because, like you mentioned, like all hands on deck to make Parker, and most people are like, it's a UTV. How long does it take to build? I'm like, these are not just UTVs anymore; they're full blown race cars. I mean, they really are. Like the design you guys are doing, stuff like that. It's no different than if you guys were designing a new trophy truck.
No, not at all. And it's funny. That was what my dad and I joke around after we got done building this first car. It was like we got done and kind of looked at each other. We're like, man, this was just as much work as building a 10 car or any buggy or anything. It was like. It's just the parts are a little smaller.
Honestly, I think it's more, though, because you have more tolerance build-up. So with the bigger trucks, you kind of build frame out.
Yep.
So you're building based off of your own chassis. With these, like, you have to deal with whatever comes from the manufacturer. And, again, like, hats off to Cowie, and I'm not saying that because we're sitting here. But like, if you've built cages for manufacturers and everything like that, like, you get whatever comes off the assembly line, and then you have to start from there.
Yep.
So it's not a ground up. So I agree with you. Like, it can be as much work. It can be less, or sometimes it can be more.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely the beginning stages, like, for instance, building, like, a truck, you can just start laying some tubes out there and start going. It's like these things, you got to start with a car from the showroom floor, take it all the way apart, and then start. You got to, if you're going to make your own cage and everything, you got to cut a lot of the stock kind of stuff off, and anyone that's a fabricator knows that that's a lot of time and work to do that properly.
Well,
and
we've made leaps and bounds, though, like industry-wide, because you're starting to see kind of these SEMA programs where you can get these step files, you can get some DXF, you can get some 3D scans from the manufacturers. 5-10 years ago, that didn't exist, right? It was whatever rolled into the room.
I don't know. I've never used a computer I've never used a computer to build a car. Actually, this new car we're building is the first time we've ever.
That's why I was like, Jim, that's why we can't get a chassis from these guys.
Yeah, everything. My dad's old school guy. I mean, a lot of people probably don't know who he is, but he built a lot of the first couple trophy trucks and a bunch of Class 8 trucks, and had a lot of big name guys drive for him, and he's won a lot of races. And but he's old school, like even building stuff, like he doesn't even draw any blueprints or anything. It's like we'll just start laying tubes and cutting patterns and making stuff, and he's a visionary. He's got it in his head and knows exactly which direction he's going already.
The IP right there.
That's how I was taught to fabricate, though. And my dad, I'm actually a pretty good TIG welder. I can't weld with MIG or anything else for crap. He's like, only thing you'll ever need to know is how to TIG weld when you're building race cars. So literally that's what I learned with, but it was like same thing, like tubes. I know how to notch, and I don't even mean with a tube notcher. Like I know how to do it with the grinder. That I was taught.
Bandsaw, belt sander.
Yes, exactly. That's how I know how to fabricate, and I can get those notches like absolutely perfect. It just takes time.
Yep.
But I look at like how long it take my dad to build a race car versus how long it takes people now. But it's like that's the only way I know. If I'm going to go to build a race car, I don't open a computer. It's literally you lay tubes on the ground and you just start from the ground up.
Yep.
Yeah, but on the production side, that's where you guys both suck, right? Because I've had to deal with you guys that come in that build this awesome product, and it's like, how do we translate this onto paper? How do I teach the next person? How do we build a jig off of that?
Yep.
So everything you guys know is all awesome and it's appreciated, but actually taking that and bringing it to production is a freaking nightmare.
So why do I have a feeling when the welder gets to Cedar City that we're going to have a jig or something along the way that helps it out?
Nope, there's just going to be a camera that just sits there. So it's like whatever happened when you come up with some awesome thing, it's like, look what I made. I can go back and figure out how it actually happened.
Fair enough. That'll actually make some pretty rad stop motion stuff. That would actually be rad if you guys put a camera in the shop and literally just have a year-long, like a time lapse on an entire race car.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, if you've built cars, I mean, it's like the beginning stages of it are exciting because you like start throwing some tubes out there and it's like framing a house, like is how I always explain it.
Or like demo, right? It starts real quick.
Yeah. So I always explain it like framing a house. So it's like you throw a couple sticks up there and you're like, oh man, I've got
Everybody
a house
goes,
made
oh,
already.
Yeah, this is awesome.
And then 6 months down the road, you're like, well, where the hell is that house at? You're still working on it.
That finish work is the worst.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, race cars are the same way. It's like you lay all the tubes and get stuff going, and then it's meticulous. I mean, it's down to like every single misalignment spacer and stuff I machine myself. So, I mean, it's a lot of time in the machine shop and fabricating stuff. And I'm starting to slowly learn how to do SolidWorks. I started making some long travel kits for these Kawasaki cars now, and that was like my first project I did start to finish, like on the computer. And when actually fixtures showed up that were laser cut and all my laser cut parts like just fell in the fixture and I welded a set of arms together in like a day, I was like, this is cheating. Like, this is not fair at all.
Yeah, except all the work it took to get there, right? Like,
yeah.
And all the discipline have to do that because the better. I can't say better. There's different ways, but that's the hard part to say, well, I know this is the way to do it. And you feel like you're going backwards to have to build those fixtures, and it's frustrating sometimes. But, yeah, it's nice to be able to have that. And, I mean, laser cut, there's nothing better, like you said, that slip fit.
Yep. Yeah, when you can actually put stuff together and put little keyways on stuff and it clicks together like an erector set and it just kind of sits in the fixture and you just weld away and you're done.
Then you got to figure out the welding pattern, though.
Yeah.
So it doesn't warp.
Yeah, exactly. You got to, if you start welding away, you're going to make a banana. It's not going to fit.
But see, that's stage 2, right? Because you'll figure that out, but you won't tell it to the next person.
Yeah, I'm a little secretive of all of my knowledge. I say just enough to be entertaining, but just not enough to make people think I'm still kind of dumb, which I am.
We're trying to force Mr. John Rawl to sit down here with us and join our conversation. But no, going back to like the long travel and stuff, we're not letting John off the hook here. There we go.
He just tried to brush us off.
All right, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we will have John Rawl with Kawasaki joining Carson Wernemont, Brittany, and I right here on the show. It is the General Tire Jim Beaver Show with Brittany Cardone, live from the California 300 with Kawasaki. General Tire offers a wide variety of options that are designed to deliver for whatever life brings your way. Whether you have a truck, car, or SUV, General Tire delivers for whatever you drive. From the long-lasting all-season Altimax RT43 to the aggressive all-terrain Grabber ATX, General Tire covers on-road performance, off-road capability, and durability. General Tire delivers. For more information, drive over to GeneralTire.com. General Tire, official tire of the Jim Beaver Show. Don't just shred your way through any off-road rugged terrain. Get into gear with GSP XTV and let us redefine your adventure. The GSP advantage of quality and performance sets a standard for UTV axles. We strive to provide premium ATV and UTV axles to keep you shreddy ready. Kick up some dirt and get in the driver's seat with GSP XTV. With over 35 years of experience, drive with a company you can trust. Drive with GSP. For more information, please visit us at gspxtv.com today. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more.
Life is all about sound, the sound of sports, the sound at the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Social media? Yeah, we've got that. Jim Beaver 15 on all major platforms, and Jim Beaver Show, JB15 Group, and B Cardone 15 on the gram. Welcome back to the General Tire Jim Beaver Show with Brittany Cardone. We taped this one on site at Kawasaki at the California 300. As you know, right before we cut to break, we were trying to pull in John Rawl from the PR side at Kawasaki, guy that's been around the industry forever, worked in NASCAR, fun guy, and we were finally able to pull him in, so we're going to cut right back into that interview. There we go. Cool. We got John on air.
John, we're talking about the nightmares of taking some genius welders that build race cars and then having to take it to the production side.
Oh, that could be interesting.
Oh, yeah. And about how they have all this awesome stuff in their head, but then you take the same concept and go on production level, and the nightmares you deal with everybody keeping stuff in their head.
So here's because John's got the NASCAR background way back. Well, you look at some of those old 1980s NASCARs and stuff, they were some of the crudest welds I've ever seen on those things. And I asked somebody one time, I was like, why are these so crude? And they go, because the car's just going to get destroyed in one race anyway, so why make them look pretty?
No, we really tried, though, back at RCR to really make them look good. And the welds were big time. And actually, all of our drivers that we had back there during that time, they always would go look at the welds. And before I would ever even look, I'd look at all the race cars, and some of the stuff that you'd see was like, how did it get through tech? How did it get? It's getting ready to go 200 miles.
It's the same as off road. You look at some of them and go, how did that get through
we
tech?
still say that. I see that on the auto line.
I saw that today. I was like, okay. Because I've seen the end result sometimes of that when they come apart.
So how is everything, John? You're out. I mean, you got your jersey on, so you've been out in some KRXs today.
Oh, yeah. It was really great today out on the KRXs. We had some media out here that we took on a nice little 75-mile loop. And it's just
him and his little 100-mile loops.
Yeah, what was it, 140 on the jet ski we did a couple weeks ago with John?
Yeah, I did 150 the next week in Michigan on a KRX and everything. And then last week at Sand Hollow. So it just kind of adds up and adds up. Doesn't matter whether it's on the water or on the dirt or on the street. It's all fun stuff. We make good stuff for all those different areas, so it makes it really fun.
I can't wait for the surf and turf ride where we do one day on skis, and then the next day on UTVs, something like that.
Well, and then next week I get to go out on the manure tour.
Ooh.
I go into a farm show. I call those
manure tour.
I
was wondering where that was going.
I call that the manure tour, but it's always really great, too. I'll be in Georgia all next week at a farm show.
Well, it's funny, too. It's like we all talk about the KRX. This is fun. This is the sexy unit. It's the one that, that screams and everything else. But you talk about the mules. I mean, you talk about bread and butter for Kawasaki on the mule. I mean, we were at Torrance's Ranch in Texas, and they've got 100 of them.
They're pretty sexy, too. They got gun racks on them.
Yeah. They multiply usually at ranches.
They do.
They do.
Well, and it's funny because, I worked all these farm shows over the years, and this lady says, I really want one. I'd love one. She says, but I don't know what I'd do with it. I said, well, how far away is your mailbox from your front door? But no, it's the mules are very, very important to Kawasaki, and, we're lucky, we keep on involved, they keep on changing. We've got all kinds of new stuff, in the works, and it's really cool. But going to the farm shows, working with the farmers, I mean, they want to know how it saves them money and time, and they do.
So they're the sensible guys, right? And then there's stuff like what we do where we go, well, what can we do to it? And actually, this was interesting, right? Because we were talking to the Torrances, and there's different packages with different lines and things like that, and they wanted, well, we want the cab and this and that. We've talked to a few other people.
Heating,
oh, no. We have it all. It's just to build your own from the factory. Yeah, so really anything we were thinking that didn't exist already does. It's just so cool we didn't even know about it.
Yeah. See, that's where you need to get into long travel is the mules. And I actually laugh because those people pay money. It's not like racers where they call and go, oh, Carson, give me 10% off. I'll put your sticker. Those farmers and ranchers and hunters, they just write checks. And they're like, oh, Carson, I just want to be a little bit smoother around these ranch roads.
Well, and reliable and not have to worry about the ruts and everything else. It really is a true statement.
I think I still have too much race car in me to do that. I want everything to be like...
Well, and you don't have to worry about it like going and breaking and wadding up end over end, right? That's the nice thing. Do you think they even changed their oil, John?
You know, it's interesting. When I had a dealership before I worked for Kawasaki, that was just a few years ago. Like, I'm not sure, it's beginning of time.
Don't age yourself, John.
Yeah, it was, you know what? They'd bring them in, and they hadn't washed them since they left the building, but they actually do maintenance on it. The farmers actually really do, and actually, we sell a lot of them to the vineyards and stuff like that. They have pretty good maintenance schedules on them because they need them to run 24 hours a day, literally all year long and everything. So.
Well, it's funny. We were back at Crandon, and at Crandon, all the security guards, they had a fleet of mules, and it's just, talk about ranchers, but security, like it's a universal vehicle that, you know what I mean? I don't want to say blue collar, but it's just a workhorse.
Multi-use light equipment.
Yep.
But it's interesting, and, we manufacture them over in Lincoln, Nebraska, too, which that's something
which I love.
Which is pretty interesting, too. And, we build a lot of other stuff there, too. That's why I've always stayed. I've been there over 30 years, but it's because of all the different things that we do, whether it's aerospace stuff, shipbuilding or rail cars or bullet trains or whatever, helicopters. That's the only thing I won't get in.
Helicopters?
I don't like it. I like egg beaters in front of me, not on top of me.
That's
Which is funny because I'm sure you still do, but you used to fly a plane.
Yeah.
Often.
Yeah, a lot and everything. But now, no whirly birds for me.
Yeah, I was almost impressed. So for the longest time, we had this thing with Brittany where she'd have these unicorn posts where she wouldn't post for like a year and then post to Instagram. And then they came this collaborator thing where my account basically became her account where everything was collaborative. John, you want to talk about a unicorn post? The other day I about dropped dead. I was like, Hot Shoe, you posted something on Instagram, and then you followed it up, day after day. And I'm like, what happened, John? It's been it's been 5-6 years since you'd posted to Instagram.
I know. I just said, you know what? I think I'll try something different today.
Somebody took over his account. He got an assistant.
I just went, you know what? I want to see if this riles up anybody and everything. And everybody goes, what's the Hot Shoe and everything?
That's what I was just about to say. Explain to us, John.
Well, I used to race flat track, and everybody wears a steel shoe, and it's called a Hot Shoe. So I'm Hot Shoe JR.
A little more than just race, though, right?
I did pretty well, but I did it back when.
Changes the subject.
But I did it when there were a lot of really good people, and, that dollar thing kind of gets in the way and everything. But I had a good run at it, and I really enjoyed it. Times I would never give up. It's just like the times working in the stock car stuff. But, the motorcycle industry's always been what I've always enjoyed and everything. And working at Kawasaki, for a long time, and I enjoyed it. It's been great.
Well, you were telling me when I was there, you were showing me some of the world record bikes that Kawasaki had, and you got to ride one of those, right?
Yeah, I got to ride some of those. And that's what's been fun is I've been able to ride some of that stuff and been involved with some of the R&D stuff and everything. And it's been an interesting run.
That's what I love, though.
Some of it
it's
can't
enthusiasts.
talk about.
Yeah, most of it you can never talk about. We got that. But
No.
I just love that everybody that works there are all enthusiasts. It's so nice to be part of I say corporate, but for how corporate it is, it's so not at the same time. I really feel like it's just we're part of a family.
Well, and that's what really makes it easy for me is, my coworkers in PR, whether it's Brad or Jocelyn, they're both out riding and doing everything. Doesn't matter whether it's in the water, on the street, on the road race course, or out here in the dirt and everything. Brad doesn't get to come out with us too much, but he came out today and just had a blast and everything. He did hit a rock and have a flat, though.
Yeah, they have a couple of those out here.
Yeah, I finally found a rock out here.
We always run into the moving rocks. They jump out of nowhere.
It's funny how they do that. But no, it's I've been lucky to be part of so many different departments at Kawasaki and do different things. And the places it's taken me, all over the world and different things. So I can't, it's just been a good run of it.
Do you have a favorite project?
Somebody asked me that not too long ago. Said, what was the most favorite thing that I've done during the whole time? I'd say every one of all of it. You know what? I don't care what it is, whether I'm out on a manure tour, whether I'm out, out here or doing a jet ski or doing anything. It's all of it. That's what I think makes it so great, is that I do get to do things. I told Jocelyn today, I said, yeah, today's office really kind of sucks, doesn't it?
That's what her and I always post today's office.
I get to use your guys' office a lot.
Sometimes it's in
bad.
Havasu, sometimes it's here. I think the Top Gun thing's pretty awesome. You know, knowing the backstory, then being at you've been to Kawasaki recently, haven't you? Saw the Top Gun display with all the bikes?
No.
They send them straight to work mode. They put them in through the side door.
Yeah, I go the back side of the building.
Actually, they do.
Yeah.
They kind of do things.
See,
outside.
I purposely go through the front because they change the museum like every single time I'm there.
Yeah.
So I just like to see the vintage stuff that cycles in and stuff. But it was funny. So I saw that, and then they've got the Top Gun house. And Brittany and I went to Oceanside, and we stayed on the ocean, and they have the Top Gun house there with one of the Top Gun bikes out front there. So it's like I felt like it all went full circle.
It is, and, it's really been cool. I've been lucky enough to work on a lot of different movies and TV shows while there, and everything. And some of those have been fun. Some of them aren't the easiest to deal with and everything. I've got a few stories about those, but not really for radio and everything. But
the John off-air stories are the best stories.
Oh, yeah, I got plenty of those.
Okay, here's one, though.
Uh-oh.
High-end motorsports or Hollywood? Which one's easier?
Motorsports.
Okay.
I mean, high-end Hollywood, there's some really nice people, but there's all different types to it and everything. I enjoy motorsports. And I think it's because of the people. Whether I come out here just driving around, doesn't matter whether you're talking to a young kid, older person, a racer, non-racer. It's just nice to be able to talk to anybody in motorsports. How many people I've sat next to on airplanes? There's no telling how many air miles I've been, but I always sit next to people that's fun to talk about. I don't care what brand of bike they have or side by side, as long as they're out there using it. That's number one to me, because that's what it's all about. If everybody bought the same thing, it'd be pretty darn boring.
Oh, I'm going to get so cheesy. I'm
But
saying we're all here for
everybody-
the good times, John.
Yeah, but everybody'd look good in green, though.
I mean, I'm selfish. I was talking to the guys over in the booth earlier today, and I'm like, I've been riding green my whole life. I was like, when I was a kid, I literally had a lime green and black painted walls in my room. Like, I've always just been a diehard Kawasaki, and I think I was 10, my first actual green dirt bike. So, like, that was something I was just like, fingers crossed my whole life. I've always just been like a ride green kind of girl. So,
Yeah,
it's definitely a lifestyle for sure.
It is, and it's been, it's just great, and it continues on.
It's funny. It's like Kawasaki, and you've got people that are diehard Kawasaki green fans, and then there's a bunch of other manufacturers. But it's like Kawasaki has its own cult following. But there's other. It's like Subaru. I was involved with Subaru for a few years, and they have this cult following. And there's certain things. Jeep people are the same way, where it's it's just interesting that there's a few manufacturers and different things that have that cult following, where it's just no other manufacturer can meet it.
Well, it was interesting today. One of the girls who went out riding with us today, she's involved with film and TV shows and all that stuff. And she had a 600 Ninja for 14 years. She said, but she'd never have anything but a Ninja, because that's what she started on and that's what she would stick with and everything. So
It's a culture. I mean, you're right on like the cult following, but it's a culture, I think, because it's all encompassing. There's very few brands that you can go and love and actually be loyal to that brand, right? And not get. I was laughing because we had how many long traveled and supercharged turbo Terexes for the longest time, because everybody was so diehard on, I love the Cowie. I love how it's built, how strong it is. It's not the only thing it's lacking. I love the cabin space. So before the KRX, like, they were still making them basically what is now developed into the KRX, because in their mind there was still nothing better. And it was so cool to see everybody ride that out. And all these guys that were in the original Cowie groups 10 years ago that I dealt with when the T4s, we called them, first came out, just when they put a 4-seat from the Terex 2s. And now all those guys have all converted into the KRXs now.
And the KRX is doing well, and it's fun to see it around the country. Doesn't matter where I go, but I see so many of them. Doesn't matter if it's in the woods or out here in the desert and everything. And, when I was just up in Michigan in UP, where we did 150 miles with some media, there was tons of people up there that had the Cowies and everything, and which was nice to see. And, a lot of that snowmobile country, if they buy a Skidoo, they're going to have a Can-Am. But up there, they really like how our KRXs have done. So they're very
It's
happy.
the best universal UTV I've ever seen. I truly mean that. The KRX, it checks so many boxes for different things that people would want to do. It's a very universal machine.
It's just fun and it's enjoyable to ride. And another thing, too, that I like, it's comfortable.
Yes.
When I do my 150-mile rides, I'm not like, oh, man.
Her and I at
You got Carson quiet over here because he's like, I want to go fast. Like, I don't care what you guys are talking about right now. I just want to go fast.
I feel bad for Carson because Carson, what he's doing for us, we really superly appreciate. And, what him and his dad have done and Reed and everything, we can't thank them enough for, driving the KRXs and doing what they do. We really appreciate it.
Oh,
and it's fun listening to them, and it's just really kind of cool to watch what they're doing, too, and seeing the progression and everything, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's been an awesome adventure since day one. I mean, we kind of got into this with the idea of, I don't know, let's build a car and kind of see how it goes. And now 2 years later, we're a bunch of race wins under our belt and out here looking for another one this weekend. So
I still love that, right? When he was like, I don't know, we just went, tried it out, won, did it again, won another time, won.
Well, you won in your first race. When you do that, it's like you're just throwing an atomic bomb in the UTV industry. Like, it just doesn't happen. When you just show up with a Kawasaki and go, oh, yeah, we're just going to win at Parker.
Yeah,
it was like, what just happened?
Yeah. I mean, anyone in off-road knows that, like, Parker is pretty much like one of the biggest races of the year. It's where everyone shows up, everyone has their new stuff, everyone's
You went from an unknown to the guy with a target on your back in 24 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, you did that.
Yeah, I had some people that were like, wow, that was cool, and a lot of people that did not like me after that.
And it's also fun to watch at the corporate office, because people are watching what Carson and them are doing.
It translates.
And
it really
also
does.
what you and Jeremy and, his daughter are doing and everything. People are watching that, and it's brought some more fun, because it's, something interesting for them, everybody to watch and see and everything.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I myself, and I know tons of others really appreciate what the hard work they're putting into it and the dedication they're putting into it. It's great to see what they're doing, too. And I think they're having a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. He's always grumpy whenever I see him.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a beer or two drunk and, saying, there's probably one beer days and 12-pack days, but
you have a couple where you're like, where stuff's not going right, and you're like, oh, why am I doing this? And then you have the good days where you forget about every bad day that you've ever had, and you get sucked back into it again. That's just anyone that's raced anything in their life understand exactly what I'm talking about.
It's that way though. Her and I have had this talk recently. It's like this year's been pretty grueling. Like just. We're blessed to do what we do, but it's been grueling. But it's like sometimes it's just, you're stressed, you're beat down, but then it's like you have that good day, and it offsets everything.
Yeah, you immediately forget about any bad day that you've ever had from that date prior.
Well, it's just like I was saying earlier. It's when we were out there today when I told Jocelyn, I said, another cruddy day at the office, huh? It's days like today make up for a lot of the ones that they're there before everybody else, and you're there when everybody leaves too, which
we all have those futons in the office. Oh wait, never mind, we work from home now.
But it's like her and I, it's what we say, fun employed. It's like you're fun employed. We're on a jet ski ride with you. You're up in Michigan, you're out here, and I know when you're in the office you work your ass off, John, but it's like when you get to have those things, it makes it all worth it.
Oh, you're out playing in Barstow, but you're working, right? Yeah. Nobody understands what we don't show on social media.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's like I still have to pump the brakes a little bit and remind myself that just 2 years ago I would have been one of those people camped off of Linwood Drive right here watching this race. Just absolutely would kill to be in any one of these guys' shoes. Yeah. So I'm beyond appreciative how far I've come, and can't thank my family and Reed and everybody at Kawasaki that they've taken me under their wing and given me this opportunity that they jumped on me pretty quickly and gave me an opportunity. And kind of rolled the dice, but it's I think it's paying off. We're doing good, and I really wouldn't want to be in any other position.
All right, so we're going to cut to one more commercial break here. We got to get those commercial spots in for our partners, and we're going to come back and run the rest of this interview uncut right here on the General Tire Jim Beaver Show with Brittany Cardone with Kawasaki from the California 300. When it's time to replace the tires on your vehicle, General Tire delivers the tires you need for both your next big adventure and your daily commute. Whether you need all-season traction, lasting tread wear, or a quiet drive, General Tires are designed to deliver whatever life brings your way. From all-season ultra-high-performance tires for passenger cars and crossovers to extreme all-season mud terrain and tires for light trucks and SUVs, General Tire delivers great performance. To find your ideal tire, visit GeneralTire.com. General Tire, official tire of The Jim Beaver Show. Are you looking for a place to push yourself behind the wheel and see how your driving skills stack up? Dirtfish Rally School is that place. Located on 315 acres of pristine automotive playground at the foot of the Cascade Mountains in Snoqualmie, Washington, right outside of Seattle. Dirtfish Rally School is a one-of-a-kind place where everyone from first-time drivers to seasoned professionals like Bucky Lassick and Antoine Lestage can push themselves to their limit. Whether driving the high-performance rally-prepped all-wheel drive Subaru Impreza STI is what you're looking for, or you'd rather hang it all out in the rear-wheel drive Subaru BRZ, Dirtfish Rally School has something for everyone. Classes are available from 2 hours to 3 full days and feature instructors with over 150 years of combined racing experience. Whether you're looking to become the best and get an edge on the competition, or just looking to freshen your skills behind the wheel, Dirtfish Rally School is the place to go. For more information on registering for classes, visit Dirtfish on the web at dirtfish.com, or to check out the latest happenings from Dirtfish, follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dirtfish Rally.
Life is all about sound, the sound of sports, the sound at the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Thanks for listening to the General Tire Jim Beaver Show with Brittany Cardone. Available online on SiriusXM, on AM/FM networks across the U.S., and internationally on the American Forces Network. Head to JimBeaver15.com for all the details. Welcome back to the General Tire Jim Beaver Show with Brittany Cardone. We are here on site at the California 300 with Kawasaki. We got Carson Warnemont and John Rawl with Kawasaki joining us in the booth. And we're going to jump right back into that interview right about now.
So me coming out here for today and just a little bit of tomorrow means I get to go in the office Saturday.
Oh.
Before I leave on Monday. But that's okay. But another thing, too, is just what you guys have done. You know, there's going to be a lot of Kawasaki people out here tomorrow and everything. And they're very thrilled to watch it and everything.
No pressure, Carson. But
Oh, I know.
He's
Yeah,
like,
I just talked to one before we got in this
just
interview.
another win. It's fine. Go out there and win it again.
You know what? It's not. It isn't even all about that. It's all about the teamwork, and that's something that's very big.
Yeah.
The Japanese, and they teach us all about the teamwork and everything. And they'll come out here, win, lose, or draw. They'll be happy and everything, which is really good. And it's fun for you, I'm sure, to get to meet some of them, see how they are.
Oh, yeah.
Is my buddy Calamari coming out?
I don't think Katamori's coming.
Katamori, he has become one of my favorite characters in life in general. He is
Yes.
absolutely.
He's my favorite human.
Yes.
He and I have traveled the world.
I wonder why. He seems like an okay travel partner.
And he and I cannot talk about a lot of things.
I just needed to know if I had to have an 805 waiting for him or not.
Yeah. But no, he's a great guy. I've learned a lot from him. He's very good about teaching. He's like everybody else there. It doesn't matter what time it is. We're going to work from sun up to sundown. He works on a lot of special projects on the side for people. I mean, what he's done for kids and jet ski racing, is really something.
Well, case in point, because we were doing some jet ski stuff, right? And we were trying to get some behind-the-scenes stuff. And by the time we got it up and talked to them at 7 a.m., it was already done. They'd already done motor swaps and this, that, and everything else. I'm like, dude, the sun isn't even up yet. Like you said, when it comes to working,
Her and I show up to Body Beach at like 9 o'clock, and everybody's gone. We're like, what happened? Send a text, and they're like, oh, yeah, we already came tested.
we're already in California.
Yeah, we did a motor swap. We're like, wow, okay.
Actually, that motor he built, won a championship this week, too. So.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to follow up.
He's
But
not the rider. He could still win championships, as his wife could, too.
Oh.
But he's now having more fun building motors for people, helping people out, stuff like that. And he's widely known whenever you go to one of the races. Everybody knows him. I mean, you know him.
Yeah.
But it's funny.
He works on that car right there.
It's funny when they don't, though, too, right? Like, I love hearing the stories about him being a little sleeper cell and kind of having to show people how it's done.
Goes and jumps on a ski and just whips everybody's butts.
Oh, he can.
Oh, now that I know this about his wife, I'm like, all right. I want to meet Mrs. Calamari now.
I feel like we need to do almost like we did that one kind of couples ride. We need a female ride and get you, his wife. I saw Gomez's wife is backflipping now.
No, I mean,
you guys just go out and
this is
all
like
the guys will ride on the
Dirtfish.
back.
No. This is like Dirtfish. I need to go to school and they can teach me.
Yes.
No backflips for me.
No backflips for you.
I'm past that.
I am sure I have some
backflips on jet ski.
Yeah, probably not. They would probably get mad at me if I hurt myself and couldn't race.
My problem is I'm sure I've got some front flips and back flips in me in some kind of vehicle. It's just not going to be on purpose.
Yeah, it's usually not good when that happens.
Yeah,
I did enough in my gymnastics stint.
Yeah.
I'm retired.
I've done some fun jet ski rides. I did the whole Mississippi, from the top of the Mississippi out to buoy number 1. We did that 3,000 miles in what was it, like 15 days, 12 days.
Where was it you were talking about alligators or crocodiles?
Oh, we had that problem there towards the end, and then
It was sit downs though, right? No stand ups.
that was butt boats.
I was going to say.
But they were the older ones, some of the 15Fs, but they did great and everything. We started in 28-degree weather and ended in 80-degree weather. I've also ridden jet skis from Miami to the Bahamas.
Wow, that would actually be
Yeah.
fun. I mean, feel free to call us when you need more content, John, because Miami to the Bahamas, I think Britt and I'd be in.
That one scared a lot of people. It's funny because
I do that before the alligators and
Yeah,
crocodiles.
I don't think I would have a problem Miami to the Bahamas.
Yeah, alligators are a no-go for me.
And you go
There's
along,
dinosaurs swimming around.
You go along, and all of a sudden, thunk.
Oh,
Oh, nope.
Like, what? But
Nope.
no, gators kind of make me nervous.
Yeah, me.
kind
Wonder
of.
why?
I think they make me a lot of bit nervous.
And the thing is, they're pretty fast out of the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the movie Happy Gilmore, the wooden hand? Do you have a wooden hand, John, that we don't know about?
Yeah. Chubs.
Chubbs.
Chubs.
Chubbs.
That was a good one. But no, it's so fun to do so many different things. And it was kind of interesting when I did get to ride these things, the KRXs, up in Michigan. So I was thinking about it's one of the only states I hadn't ridden in. So I've ridden in pretty much every other one. So that's kind of fun, too.
I was gonna say I was pausing and I'm like Hawaii, but I'm like no, I
I've done that.
guarantee he's been there with some filming of some sort.
Actually, I did a big jet ski thing there, and
He's like it was that
side by
California
side.
to Hawaii ride I did.
Jeez.
I do have a request if it ever happens because she's never been there and we've been talking about finding an excuse to take her to Catalina Island. So if you ever want to do a jet ski ride,
Can we
at
do
Catalina,
a demo tour out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's one that's kind of fun. We were talking about it today and everything.
Oh,
We need to splash you in the water, get you clean after
I'm
getting dirty out here.
I'm always all in. I tell Kanamori all the time. I was like, let's go jet ski riding. But
Yeah, but no, that's some of those.
he'd
Jet
probably make me look bad. He would
please.
make me look bad. That's the problem.
The one I wanted to do before I retire is I'd love to do Key West to Cuba, but everybody at work is like, no. But that's the one I'd love to do.
I'm in.
I mean,
Yeah, but
Carson?
Yeah, I'll go.
All right. There
Tell
you
me
go.
when and where. I'll be there.
Katamori will, I know.
And his wife. Now we gotta get his wife on board.
Yeah.
She was a world champion stand-up rider.
I totally believe it.
Yeah.
Like I said, as soon as you said that, I already knew.
And then his daughter did it, rode and raced for a long time, and then school and everything else. She kind of grew out of it. But no, that was
you ride stand-ups, right?
Attempt to.
Attempt to.
Yeah, attempt to. Yeah.
stand-ups are so fun.
Yeah.
You got to get a super chicken.
I've never.
Am I allowed to call them super chickens? Or do I have to say sport cruiser?
I
John?
have to say Sports Cruiser, but you can call them whatever.
Everybody knows them like in a funny way though, as a comeback.
Yes.
If you say super chicken, everybody knows what you're talking about. That's the
So
nice
how did that name even come about?
SC.
Well, yeah.
At one point, it was like Sea Couch. I think that was another name.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know it
Yeah.
has to slide over. And it was interesting because when I used to work in our consumer events, I did the Miami Boat Show. And we would sell thousands of them down there every year because people would buy them because they could get in the canals right over to their friend's house, instead of driving.
That's why we were getting one for the channel in Havasu, because everyone's got their big baller boats on a busy weekend. And I'm like, I just want to go and just sneak right in between two of the boats there. But then we were talking about the sliding steering wheel is a harness, or what is it, handlebars or steering wheel?
Steering wheel.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the sliding, yes. The sliding, yes. We were talking about doing a relay where you have two people on it, and you go and you hit the shoreline or the buoy or whatever, and then you have to slide it to the other person, and then they have to race back.
Yeah. Well, I know, like, I don't even know if I told you this or not. You and I may be roped into racing the Super Chicken next year. So, Bob,
you did
so Bobby, literally, we're taking our Super Chicken, and he's picking that up with our demo unit. And literally, he goes, so do you want to race on Sunday? I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, the thing, it runs, but I'm like, it's not raceable. He goes, it can be raceable by Sunday. He goes, let's race it. And I'm like, Bobby, no. And he goes, I can have it ready to go by Sunday if you want to race. And he goes, I'll basically race with you. And I was like, can we put this on hold for like a year? But I'm like, if I do it, I feel like it's got to be Britt and I racing this. But Bobby's like, if you guys want to race, I'm all in. And I'm like, Bobby's a bad influence, John. I'm just saying.
I know. I had a consumer at one of these events say, I saw you used to have this steering wheel that would slide over. How come you haven't done that for these?
Oh, man.
Because of exactly what we were just talking about. Halfway through the Barstow whoops. Here you go.
Here you go, Britt, back and forth.
I think that maybe that's for like when your girlfriend or wife is complaining about how you're driving a little bit. You're like, oh, you try it. See if you're any better.
Yeah. Or you can tell Reed if Reed starts complaining about
be like,
all right.
yeah, let's see what you got.
Buy one of those driver's ed cars with two sets of pedals, too. Two sets of pedals, the steering wheel slides. Just
It was funny. We were just at the podium, and I was talking with Rob McCachran, and he rode with Caden.
Yeah.
And they just were fast qualifier and trophy truck, and that's what he was talking about. He was like, I was so nervous riding. I was like pushing my feet against the ground because there's a couple times where like I would have braked, but he hit the gas and scared me.
So wait, why don't you guys have that sliding steering wheel?
I asked one of the Japanese one time about that, and they went, maybe not.
Oh, you know who? What came out alongside the Sport Cruiser, the little boat with the joystick?
Oh yeah,
Jetmate.
The Jetmate.
Actually, the Jetmates did really, really well, and to this day, I mean, it's really kind of funny how, a lot of the stuff, Jim, that's more yours and my age group,
Oh.
But
hey, high five, Carson.
But anyhow,
she ages me all the time. I get thrown under the bus.
All that stuff's coming back, and it was funny. I mean, I even had a guy today when I was filling up fuel here. He says, hey, I got this old Banshee. He says, what do you think it's worth? And I'm like, Banshees, go high dollar. A lot of our old three-wheelers and everything.
Stupid money now.
Yeah,
well, Britt and I want the Ducati that's in the showroom, so I'm just saying.
Well, everybody wants that thing, and we can't. It'll never be sold. But
you can
Jimmy
give it
White
to me.
Wants it. Everybody
I'll
wants it.
demo it for you, John.
Yeah. But some of the Ducati 4s, and just seeing what some of all the vintage stuff is going for these days. And it doesn't matter whether it's two-wheel, four-wheel, or whatever, or watercraft and everything. It's kind of cool to see a lot of stuff that was just sitting, coming back to life and getting back in the water, getting back out on the dirt.
Because we're all stuck in the era. It's the same as like muscle cars. That's why muscle cars made such a big comeback in the last decade. Is because everyone grew up with them, and then they were finally like financially able to kind of repurchase them, restore them, do whatever. And it was that upcoming generation. It's the same thing. It's
Jim.
All of us 80s, 90s kids.
We
Come
were
back.
lucky to live through that.
I was an 80s and 90s kid. I'm not. She included me on that one. She included me.
But the muscle cars I grew up with, now that was some fun stuff.
80s was not a good era for muscle cars.
No.
It was a horrible era.
I think that's why we're stuck on power sports.
Then also, too, I know that I remember back when I was in North Carolina, I knew some of the stock car guys that made their some of the older stock cars that maybe had been bumped up against the wall a few too many times, made them into street cars.
Yeah. What was the guy that had the Silver State race that they raced, the open road race in Nevada? What the heck is that called? The Silver State Challenge, where it's like 150 miles open road race in Nevada. They shut them all down.
Well, they had one used to be in Mexico, too.
Yeah. And anyways, the guy that set that was an ex-NASCAR. He put a full windshield in it, 2 seats, and he averaged over like 150 miles, like 235 miles an hour. It's gnarly if you've ever watched the videos of that race. But no, going back to the Jetmate, Christopher Polvordi. So he and I love talking Cowies. He's a massive Kawasaki fan. He had like 8 SXR 800s at one point.
Yeah.
And he just sold it down to 3. But he was telling me he was so excited because he's like he wants to get a Super Chicken. He found him and his dad do like a lot of like land development work, stuff like that. So there's some lake in California, and they went, and the ownership group or something that has the lake, they were looking, and off in like this warehouse, they had a Jetmate that was almost brand new sitting there, and they bought it like way back when to basically go and do maintenance on the lake. And they haven't touched the thing in 10 years. So Pavordi's like literally, they were just going to junk it, and then he showed interest, so now they think it's worth all this money. So now he's in this negotiation process for this Jetmate. And I immediately asked him, I was like, so where's this at? He goes, I'm not telling you. He goes, I'll tell you after I buy it. But I was like, he found an almost new Jetmate, and I'm like, oh.
You know, a lot of hunters actually were looking for them because they can get in for duck hunting and stuff like that in the very shallow water and stuff like that. Oh, I can remember some fun times with Jetmates. Oh, good times.
He's like, more stories we can't talk about.
Yeah, plenty of room for an ice chest and a Jetmate.
That's right.
So I don't know where we went off the rails, Carson. We started talking racing. No, I love these conversations with John.
I feel like Carson knows this by now with us.
I feel bad for Carson. I should just be quiet.
Why do you feel bad for Carson?
Because I talk too much.
I actually think the interesting thing would be if we ever mic'd Russ and you and Carson and everybody up and get stories. Oh, this would be great.
Yeah, I might have to take off a few hats and some of the colors.
Noted.
Noted.
Oh, there's a lot of fun stories that could come out. And there's been a lot of great stuff, on a lot of stuff we wish we could talk about on the production and how we do all the testing and everything. It's really kind of interesting how they do all the testing and endurance testing. It's something that I've always been very proud of with Kawasaki is all the testing and all the work that all of our R&D people put into each and every unit.
Well, they always have an answer for everything, though. That's what I'm so impressed with, is I'll ask kind of like half jokingly, like, oh, it's a good idea if we have this. Like, how come there's not something on this? And somebody at Cowie always has an instant answer, and it's so tactful on how it gets answered and professional. But it also makes sense at the same time. I'm like, that there's no angle yet that I found where it hasn't been thought through.
That's very true, and that's one thing, everybody says, I'm sure you could have gone here or could have gone there. Yeah, I could have gone to this company, that company, and everything. But from day one, since I've been at Kawasaki, just knowing how much effort they put into each and every unit and everything, and the care factor and everything means a lot to me. And it is a family because I've been lucky to know so many of our Japanese that come over here and then leave and then come back and stuff. And it's been great friendships, but I know how hard that they all work to make everything the best because they want the consumer to be happy with what they purchase.
Well, and I think, talking about Kawasaki and just corporate culture and things like that, Brittany summed it up best. But, we've been around the industry for a long time and dealt with other manufacturers. And this year is the first year it's felt like you said home.
It shows. Yeah, it's home. It's you're buying something, and there's no buyer's remorse, right? Anyone that takes something home off the Cowie line, they've done the research, right? Nobody just walks inside unseen anymore and goes, want. It's all, everybody does their research, and when they do, they know exactly what they're buying. But I don't think anybody ever has buyer's remorse once they take it home.
Yeah. But just the Kawasaki family, and the other athletes that we've got to know, and obviously the people that work at the
Carson,
company.
that guy's kind of weird.
Yeah, he's questionable at best, but we'll keep him around.
At
quiet.
What Carson and his dad have done for us over the years. It's very behind the scenes, but it's been very important, and I know how much the people at Kawasaki appreciate what him and his dad have done over the years and everything. And a lot of it we all can't talk, or we can't talk about, but that's what's really cool is they listen to people like Carson and his dad and appreciate what they say, and we know how important they are. I do, for furthering products.
Well, Nebraska as well. Like, I remember having a handful of the engineers on some of the rides.
Oh, yeah.
In Moab back at Raleigh years and years ago. And same thing, like whether they were out for demo or just coming just because they actually had a chance to hang out and get out of the plant for a bit and talk and pick their brain. And everybody has just always been so welcoming and nice from Cali. Like I said, it's always just been a family.
Well, and one thing that's good is that when we do get them out here, or they come out, when Carson and Reed are racing and stuff like that, and participate in it, because then they really understand it more. Because I think sometimes what they see us send a piece of paper over to Japan and stuff, and they're going, huh?
Yeah.
But when they come out here, they go, oh, yeah, now I understand, and stuff like that. So I think it's really good whenever they can, and I know the Lincoln folks really try to get their engineers out as much as they can. And also here, too.
Yeah, I think that's one of the more important parts of racing is it's obviously a marketing tool, but at the end of the day, that racing is always development for production.
Yes.
Whether it's like stock car racing or this kind of racing or the Kawasaki Supercross team, it's
or just what you can and can't do, right?
Yeah, it's all learning. It's like we put these cars through extreme conditions and drive them extremely hard and see a lot of desert that 99% of the people will never see, and then we can develop off of that and work on new things and work on new stuff, and it's the same thing with any sort of race team or like motocross race team, jet ski race team. It's like you're always working on the next thing, developing the next cool product to develop and sell to the end user.
Well, field testing always has those kind of, I don't want to say weak points, but it shows those areas for improvement, right, of what you can do better. And even though everything's theoretical testing and there's so many programs, and this goes back to how our conversation started of doing things hands-on versus doing stuff on the computer and then translating it, is you can do as much as you want in a factory, in a lab, put it in controlled environments, and put a certain amount of hours on it. But my answer to anybody ever doing anything power sports related is till you go out and field test, you don't know what's going to come at you. Because every factor you think you've covered, theoretically, like until you actually come out here, you're like, oh, never thought about that one.
Yep. Yeah, I'm a big I've grown up just the old school like pen and paper kind of person, and even like we tune all of our own. We use Walker and shocks, but like I do all my own shock tuning and valving and everything for my own cars and make sure everything's set up the way I want. But it's like I've never really been a huge shock dyno person. It's like you valve it and go drive it and see what you think. And same thing with like engine dyno and stuff is like cool for apples to apples. I'm sure you know from stock car stuff, but until you go drive it, you never know, because it was like the same thing. For a little bit, I worked on a short course team, and we had two engines, different size, different displacement. You could overlay the dyno graphs, and we wanted to run the smaller engine because the car can be lighter. And come to find out, the heavier car with the bigger cubic inch motor that had the same dyno graph drove completely different and was a way better engine. So it's until you go try stuff hands-on, you never know. You can design stuff on the computer till you're blue in the face, but it doesn't do you any good till you just go actually hands-on, see what happens.
Your talk about the shock dyno is really interesting because when I wasn't doing the stock car stuff, so many of the drivers, I prefer not to say their names and everything, but they wanted to build their own shocks.
Mm-hmm.
The drivers wanted to build them.
Actually, funny story, that guy right there, so my dad, has got stories of going to the NASCAR track saying that they need shock guys on their NASCAR teams. And at the time, nobody had shock guys. And then eventually, a couple years later, everybody had shot guys.
Yeah, but it was really interesting to me how these guys would get in a truck, and they knew that feel they wanted, just as you just said, and that's really cool to hear that you're doing your own shocks and everything.
Yeah, especially with I think off-road. I've always said off-road racing the most important part in about 80% of your setup in off-road racing is shock absorbers and tires. Yeah. Like when you actually get to pushing it at race pace, that's what makes a winning car and a losing car, in my opinion. I mean, tires are the last part of the puzzle that hits the ground, and you got to make sure you have a good tire that you're not going to have any mystery weird flats or anything. I mean, I've run and been on BF Goodrich since day one. My dad's been with them for 30-plus years. Yeah, and then the shocks. I mean, I learned pretty much everything I know from him, and just learned a lot about tuning stuff, and it's really important because if your shocks aren't working right, it's wearing out the rest of the car. It's wearing out the driver. It's hurting you. It's wearing out other pieces on the car, and you're just going slower too.
And you, the driver, knows the feel that you're looking for.
Right.
You, the driver, when you're building a shock, you're building your feel into it.
Right.
Instead of telling somebody, this is what I want and everything. But it was amazing to me, up till maybe 5-6 years ago, some of the drivers I knew that they built their own shocks. That's what they wanted to do. And I thought that was really cool because it just showed how much they wanted to know how the whole car operated.
Yeah. That's one thing I've always been very intrigued with since day one of working on cars and developing them was always shocks, because it's like you can design shocks till you're blue in the face and you're never done kind of deal. You can go in circles and go this way, go that way, go up, down, in and out, this way with springs, and
well, even you and I on my race car, like this car was, almost dialed in. It was crazy quick, but over the last 2 years, how many changes, like just minute, like, all right, Carson, we're, just a little tweak you're involving, one spring weight change, like.
But personal preference on the last one, I personally like the one before it better. Because you guys went just a little bit heavier on the spring rate.
Yeah, so it's probably a little stiffer in your seat.
Yeah, well, and it's not necessarily like the stiffness on it, but just the feedback we get that's just marginally more. Yep. And he likes being able to have the little, like, oops aggressiveness a little, there's that give and take. There's that balance as personal preference.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, I did, like, we did this, we changed it a little bit, and he's like, and actually it was halfway through the last race. I'm like, so what do you think? Because I didn't want to sway it at all, and he's like, I think it's better. And I'm like, it's both amazing. I was like, but I actually like the last setup better.
Right.
So it's funny, like you're saying, personal preference, everybody's different.
Yeah, exactly. I get that all the time. I cut back on it a lot now, but I just help a couple people tune shocks, but because I don't want to give away too many of my secrets kind of deal. But
I still have no idea what's in ours. You said don't ever open them, and I haven't opened them. I just call them the unicorn shocks. Like they're magic. I don't know what's in them. They work.
Yeah, I just put some magic stuff in there and close her up. But yeah. Like you're saying, everyone has their different driving styles, and it's like even for me, it's like I would rather set up my car a little bit softer and check up for that one big jump, where some people want to launch it for the camera guys and want it to be stiff, and at the end of the day, you're going to kill yourself with the rest of the stuff.
We could still do both. Don't get me wrong. We're literally talking splitting hairs here.
Yeah, that's what I told you when I was like, oh, let's do this. I was like, we're talking minute, dude.
It's so tiny.
Oh, I know what I changed in there. It's not very much.
Just a little more glitter in the shock oil. Just
a
little more glitter.
Where I can feel the chatter just a tiny little bit more. Is all, but like I said, in the bigger stuff, like we've got a little bit more of a buffer, so there's a give or take. But again, I can understand the benefit driver versus passenger as well.
Yep.
You make it rough on Reed's side, make it a little stiffer for him.
Yeah, I don't know. You're gonna have to ask him. When I have something to hold on to, I'm not. Doesn't hurt.
No, just pull out a shim without telling him or something, just on his side.
Oh yeah.
I've never heard Reed say anything bad about your driving. I'll be honest with you. Like, I've had numerous conversations with Reed, and he's never once said anything.
Well,
you got Reed to talk?
Yeah.
I don't think he talks very much, so he might be thinking it. He just doesn't say it.
Reed's come around to me, and I love Reed to death. It's taken about 4 years. Reed's come around.
The funniest thing is the first time he ever dealt with Reed via email, which, of course, even though Reed isn't far off on email versus in person. But the very first time, and I'm like, Jim, before you even get a response, I'm just letting you know, like, this is Reed. Don't take it personal. He's not being standoff, whatever. Like, this is just how Reed is.
Carson, does he even say anything during the race and just waits to the end and says, okay, we're done?
It started like that, but we're getting to where I want him to call out a lot more corners and stuff, so we've been, working on that because when I've been more – now that I've raced a little longer and I've got more comfortable, I like people to tell me where to go and call out corners, because if someone tells me, like, hey, there's a right coming up, I have the confidence in them that if it's a blind corner or whatever, I know it's a right, I'm holding it wide open now. Yeah. Where a year ago I would be a little timid and lift a little and feather it, and I just drove what I could see. But it's like now that I've got trust in somebody.
First place timid.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just funny because her and I have talked about that. Like, the co-driver-driver dynamic I've had co-drivers through my entire career. It's like you find the one that works, and it's a whole nother level. But it's like you have to be in sync, and there's a trust factor because you're both putting each other's lives in each other's hands. You know? It's like to commit to what they're saying. Yeah, it's once you find that person that works, it's amazing.
Yeah, because if you tell me like it's just straight over the crest, like I'm gonna send it off the crest. I don't know what's over there. But how
about those rally drivers?
Yeah, those guys are something else. I'm not sure if I could do that. I would have that thing wrapped around a tree so quick.
Yeah, when they're like, left, and, they're like, no, left. They're on top of a tree, and they're like, I told you left.
We're not that calm, but it's crazy because I've always had call-outs ahead of time, and I call out every single corner. Every corner. So we do it rally style or crest or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't do the numbers. I just say, tight, short, medium, whatever. I'm descriptive, I guess, colorful. But it's crazy because everybody else I've ever co-drove for, it's either like quarter mile or 10th mile is what they like to call on pace.
Right.
And Jim and I think it was probably after going to Dirtfish was the first time I got stuff called out like on the spot doing rally. And after that, like, because I would tell him, 10th mile. I'd be like, quarter mile, 10th mile. And then I'd be like, okay, you're going right. You got to go right now. Like, but he also did single seat trophy truck. So he was used to doing things like kind of on his own deal. And then slowly, like, we morphed into this rally style. So when we're going, like, if it's a big wide open area, I'll be like, oh yeah, 10 miles on a dirt road. I'll tell him, I'm like, hey, 90 right, half mile. Won't say anything again. I'm like, coming up 90 right. 90, and then same, but during the washes and stuff, like, we'll go 2 hours without talking, but I don't shut up because I'm calling out every corner as we're going and going out of it. And if it's opening, if it's closing, all that stuff. So it's weird because we actually kind of race rally style doing desert racing, which was odd at first, but I actually like it better. So I'm going to, if I ever have to race with anybody else, I'm going to totally screw them over.
I brrought you out of retirement. You're not allowed to race with anybody else.
Be going and be like, 90 right, what, bro? Be like Warnemont earlier today, just like taking the other route.
Yep, a little off-track excursion.
Yeah. Did we do a little off-track today?
Yeah, I kind of drove down the wrong road halfway through qualifying, but
it was Reed's fault.
He was still trying to give everybody else in the class a chance.
Yeah, but
hey, it happens.
I don't know the exact number of how far ahead we were, but I know it was pretty big.
Yeah.
So what was the first vehicle you ever drove out here?
First vehicle I ever drove out here. Unfortunately, it wasn't a Kawasaki. It was a Polaris before I worked at Walker Evans, probably like a year before Walker Evans. I was probably 19, 20 years old. We came out here, and Reed was already working there, and he let me drive Randy Anderson's Razor out here. I was like, I wanted one of those so bad, but it took me a couple years to be able to have one. But when I worked at Walker, we would come out here and test all the time, and I would get to drive every once in a while. I would get to drive something for a couple minutes, and it was super cool.
Reed let you just drive it around the truck, or
no? We he's like, yeah, go for it.
Skipping over the High Line.
Didn't they used to come out here like on Wednesdays?
Yeah, testing day.
We didn't really have a set day when I worked at Walker, but it was just a matter of what projects we're working on, if we needed to go test with a race team or do something. So
actually, I think Reed's really good with shocks too. Mm-hmm. I've actually watched him at a lot of consumer shows, while he was at Walker and everything, being at a lot of them, and how much he would talk to the person and think about it before he would try to put him in a shock or rebuild a shock for him and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces in there, and depending on what the person's describing, you can tune a lot externally, and then sometimes you might need to go to something internally or maybe even a different style shock. There's a lot of options there. So, and it's like we were just saying, it's all personal preference. You have a guy that might want to come out here and drive 25 miles an hour and just want the thing to just be an absolute just marshmallow and just cruise across everything and not feel a thing. Or you might have the guy that wants to come out here and hold it wide open through these main pit bumps and and crash through everything, and that guy's going to need a little different setup because he's going to be doing the biggest cartwheels you've ever seen if he drives the other guy's setup.
Oh, yeah.
You guys remember when Uribe broke his collarbone?
No.
No? You know who I'm talking about from King?
Yeah. Because I met
was
Uribe
out here.
when I was probably 10 years old.
I grew up with Uribe because his dad would come up and race a 5/1600 car, and they'd use our race shop in Parker for the Parker race, and he'd always bring my dad a gallon of homemade tequila.
I met him because I stayed with Scott Taylor for a summer. My dad built all of his short course trucks, and like the last couple years they ran King shocks, and Uribe came out for like a day or two and tuned stuff.
Yeah, because there's, what was it, Carlos, Humberto, Geraldo, Uribe. Yeah, there's three of them, dad, two sons.
Yeah. No,
we called him Rooster because we're filming the truck, seeing like what it's doing, and he was like, "Oh yeah, look at the back, you could see the rooster tail, the big rooster tail." So after that, he was Rooster for the rest of the week.
we were just talking about like gnarly cruising this and that, but it's like right here, you know, sitting on the Barstow High Line, and this would always be the ultimate
He heard
test.
us talking about him?
It's like
But-
Beetlejuice.
So if you say it 3 more times, we go.
You've been the topic of conversation on this show.
Hey, Reed.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to, because I talk too much. Poor Carson.
Well, Carson's been here an hour and a half. No, hour. I'm just like, holy crap. Your dad's probably like,
Pass
dude,
it on,
it's-
John. So, Reed, we were talking about Barstow and shock tuning and being out here and what our first vehicles were, and then he was talking about how everybody's different, and you could either have somebody that wants to cruise and have a marshmallow and not feel anything, or he pointed and he goes, go straight out that way as fast as you can. I said, do you remember when Uribe broke his collarbone? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't know that story.
So basically, I mean, we all know Uribe is just race tune king shot. He'll take whatever and make it be able to go full speed over the whoops. Doesn't matter. It could be a golf cart, a literal golf cart, and he'll get it to go over the top of the High Line. But he had somebody's Can-Am, I think it was, and he went out, 2-seat car, did some valving in it, took it, went, and it was mechanical, nothing to do with the shocks. But yeah, ends up showing up at Hammers with a sling on. And I'm like,
Yeah, that's not good.
with that man, that does not surprise me because he won't go try it first. He, as soon as he gets in the car, just wide open gone.
Yeah, I'm a little more timid than that. I usually, if I change something or come out here for like the first time in a couple weeks, I'd be a little cautious.
Well, I will say Carson said there was an off-track excursion today, and he said it was 100% his fault.
No, it just, I mean, we did a new lap. It was a little bit different than what we've
trying-
been doing before.
Well, he defended you. He goes, this is on me. He goes, if we would have got second or third in qualifying, it would have been Reed's fault. But
The car's too good. I knew we had it.
Yeah, we thought you were just giving everybody else a chance.
Well, sure, why not? Yeah, it was no big deal. We weren't very far from the ribbon, so. Well, as a matter of fact, we ended up with a course marker in the car. So
It was like a video game. You hit it and saw it just snap in half and go right into the cab.
that one go up in the wall. At
I don't know. It's in
like,
the
no.
trailer somewhere.
All right.
You're not supposed to collect those?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. So real quick, so we were talking about qualifying, right? And then you had a story we were talking about during pre-running.
What was that?
I don't know. You were talking about doing pre-running out here in some truck or something like that.
Oh yeah, we had a
You said, and then it was like, okay, we're going to hold that for the show.
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
like, don't act like you don't know.
yeah. So it was like probably our first or second lap pre-running, or it might have been I forget which lap it was. We did a couple laps, but we're coming down this tight, kind of rocky, sandy canyon, and we caught like this kind of door slammer pre-runner truck that it was like 4-linked and had some long travel stuff on it. It was fairly capable.
number 88 painted on the back extra cab window.
Yeah, no fenders or anything. And so we just reel this guy in and we're right on him. And then
He was just on his way home from work.
so we're like right on this guy and we're going over this rocky cross grain stuff. And then I think he finally like noticed we're behind him and tried to like rabbit us real quick and goes around a corner and immediately goes around the corner and then hits something in the front end, just breaks off the thing.
Oh, man.
So we stopped there, and Reed, I think, radioed somebody and made sure that we had some help coming out for him. And then once he had...
Yeah, she was dead in the water. She wasn't moving anywhere.
No.
I thought we could tow her off the course, but there was no sense in moving it at that point. So he had his buddies up there, and we radioed to him and got him to come back. And next lap around, that they had it fixed to a point where they got it off the track. So,
Yep. It looked like it sheared off the spindle snout, like where it's like a bolt-on spindle snout to the spindle, just sheared it off like right at the.
Yeah, good times. You see a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah, so I'm sure he was on Car Tech last night buying some parts.
Yeah.
All you got to do is just
Or
hop on the
Mackenzie's,
15.
whatever
You just head south and you'll find something.
Yeah.
And then the next lap, it rained on us.
That was
Oh, yeah.
trippy.
Yeah, that was good time.
Yeah, I got in last night, and it's like it was clear today, clear yesterday, but last night it started raining.
Yeah, not here, though. Not at this part of the track. Just the south part of the track saw quite a bit of rain. I mean, it was running down the race course. So
Was it really?
Yeah. Yeah, we were soaking wet for a little while.
Yeah. Yep, it was pretty wet in there.
Which I feel like halfway through today, none of us would have complained. Because it was a little
being
toasty.
rain or?
Yeah, just getting a little weather today, because it was quite toasty about an hour or two ago.
I haven't noticed it that bad.
A little warm, a lot of dust.
Yeah.
It's like we're in the desert or something.
That's desert racing, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, I don't know. I think it's time to tap out on this one.
No, I got to ask Reed the same question I asked him.
Okay.
What was the first vehicle you rode out here?
Road. I mean, I've been riding. There what used to be a desert racing series for three-wheelers that raced out here, and I can't remember the initials, ADRA or something like that. And I raced a lot of three-wheel races out here in the desert. That's my first experience racing out here. But
I had a big wheel 80. That's why I was asking, because I remember going through this stuff in like a tiny little 80. So I'm like, somebody else has to have some interesting stuff.
I raced the Fireworks 250. I raced in a Class 9 car, swing axle.
There you go. I love the 9s.
Single seat Class 9 car, swing axle. That was a good time. It was my brother-in-law's car, and he is about a foot taller than I am, and I had to have a pillow behind me, and I still could barely reach the clutch. It was a scene, but it was fun.
I remember the first truck I ever was out here in was a 92 F-150. My buddy had a Pro Comp lift kit on it, and somehow he loaned it to me to come out here and pre-run. So it was a two-wheel drive 92 F-150 with a Pro Comp kit and 35-inch tires. That was my first experience out here.
You might win.
I've seen, I mean, I didn't, like I said, I never came out here till I was 19 or 20 years old, but, I mean, when I was a little kid, my dad's got boxes of VHS tapes because I'm old enough to watch VHS tapes when I was a kid. And for the younger audience, you might have to look up what that is.
Oh, we've been talking about the Huevos reunion for the past, 3 episodes.
But he's got, all the old a lot of test videos from, BF Goodrich and, Ultra and stuff, developing tires and wheels. They'd always come out here and try to break stuff. And then a lot of, the fireworks races and stuff. And I've watched all those videos. I think I probably wore them out. So I've seen a lot of laps out here, but it's first year I've actually raced anything here.
So, shows up wins.
Yeah,
shows up wins.
I will say, I've only raced once at Barstow, and I won. And it's been 20 years. So, I haven't come back here because I can honestly say I'm undefeated in Barstow. I'm 1-for-1, and I'm good with retiring from Barstow at perfect. So, I've got a Class 8 win in Barstow, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, the last professional race I did here was when Score raced in '94, and that he was just a pipsqueak kid then, and I was chasing the Ultra Wheels truck that his dad built. So that's kind of what started the whole Nordine Wernemont relationship way back then.
Yeah, the truck we saw it at Off Road Expo, it's beautiful still.
It's cool to see it back in.
I love that all the nostalgia is coming back. It's all being revived. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think even there's someone down in Cabo that restored the old Simon & Simon trophy truck, and he's actually bringing it here this weekend for something. He's been messaging me
that'd be awesome.
on Instagram. But, that truck, I think, won the fireworks race here twice, I believe.
Yeah.
The Simons did.
That's cool. What was it? The Bronco, right? What was the name of the one Bronco? The Oli Bronco?
Yeah, big Oli.
That one came out and did Nora this past year, and you're seeing all this stuff come.
Yeah, someone rolled it, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, okay, they put it on its lid, and then, like I said, I'm going to stand up for the guy because I've driven a 73 Bronco in Baja, And it's not hard to get that thing to buck. So it doesn't take a lot. It's very top heavy and it likes to jackass kick everywhere. But it's also not $1 million Bronco, the one I'm driving at the same time. But no, I love it. I'm just worried because soon we're going to be like, hey, check out that vintage Rhino going by.
I don't want to race one of those.
No. I like what we have going on now.
Remember the first year somebody entered a Rhino at Vegas to Reno, and we're all sitting there going, what kind of agony do you want to put yourself through for 550 miles?
It's like the snowmobile, right?
Now
on
we're
donut
here.
Tires. Yeah, and now we're all here.
Yeah, I sold the
Now
trophy.
we're here at the UTV World Championships.
Yeah. I sold the trophy truck to go UTV racing, so, I mean, what can we say?
Yep.
We're here. All right.
Well, I'm kind of hungry because
Yeah.
it's 4 o'clock
You
and I
had
haven't
in
even
and out
eaten
at
lunch
somewhere.
yet.
Thank you for stopping by. Thanks, Reed, for hanging out.
No problem.
Oh, what do we had? John Rawls stop by. It's been quite the entertaining show.
Yeah, and we'll talk to Carson Reed here on their glory, their victory tomorrow at some point.
Yeah. So, all right, tapping out here from the General Tire Jim Beaver Show with Brittany Cardone. When it's time to replace the tires on your vehicle, General Tire delivers the tires you need for both your next big adventure and your daily commute. Whether you need all-season traction, lasting treadwear, or a quiet drive, General Tires are designed to deliver whatever life brings your way. From all-season ultra-high-performance tires for passenger cars and crossovers to extreme all-season mud terrain and tires for light trucks and SUVs, General Tire delivers great performance. To find your ideal tire, visit GeneralTire.com. General Tire, official tire of the Jim Beaver Show.
Conditions off the pavement are always changing, so why settle for a light bar that just turns on and off? The Rigid Adapt is a revolutionary new light bar that will automatically select from 8 beam patterns that range from a widespread 90-degree flood to a 15-degree spot based on your vehicle's speed. Try that with your knockoff light bar. A dash-mounted controller allows the user to toggle between adaptive mode, beam patterns, and RGBW accent lighting. With Adapt, it's easier than ever to own the night.
Don't just shred your way through any off-road rugged terrain. Get into gear with GSP XTV and let us redefine your adventure. The GSP advantage of quality and performance sets a standard for UTV axles. We strive to provide premium ATV and UTV axles to keep you shreddy ready. Kick up some dirt and get in the driver's seat with GSP XTV. With over 35 years of experience, drive with a company you can trust. Drive with GSP. For more information, please visit us at gspxtv.com today. Social media? Yeah, we've got that. Jim Beaver 15 on all major platforms and Jim Beaver Show JB15 Group and B Cardone 15 on the gram. Welcome back here to the General Tire Jim Beaver Show with Brittany Cardone. Big thanks to Kawasaki for having us out at the California 300 to throw down some radio in the booth. Thanks to John Rawl, Reed, Carson Warnemont, everybody that joined us. Britt and I had a great time. Man, good times. Had by all. Big thanks to all our partners, obviously Kawasaki, General Tire, Vision Wheel, Dirtfish, Rigid Industries, GSP XTV Axles, Gibson Exhaust, our friends at iRacing, pretty much anybody and everybody that supports us in the show. All of you tuning in at home that continue to listen to us week after week after week. This thing started trending recently on the charts, and it's been a while since it's done that. We are back, and thanks to all of you guys, we're going to continue to crank out some epic shows. If you got any guest suggestions, things you want to hear, events you want us at JimBeaver15, at BCardone15 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Probably Twitter, Instagram, best ways to get a hold of us, though. Man, just going to continue to crank them out. Up next for us, I actually don't even know at this point. We got a lot of stuff popping, a lot of stuff coming up. Off-Road Hall of Fame soon. SEMA, we got some fun interviews we're hoping to be able to loop you in on here soon. Also been dropping some stuff on our YouTube channel in regards to interviews. We're filling some of these, so head over to our YouTube channel. Just search Jim Beaver 15 or Jim Beaver, should pop up, but we have some great interviews cranking and dropping there as well. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's about all we got for this week. But if you're not already, please go to Apple Podcasts, hit the subscribe button. Please leave a rating or review. Thank you to the people recently who have been leaving reviews, man. Great reviews. Thank you, guys. It helps a lot. Probably a lot of the reason why we keep continuing to jump up the charts there. But thank you, guys, for the endless support. And we'll see you next time right here on the General Tire Jim Beaver Show with Brittany Cardone. That's a wrap for this edition of the General Tire Jim Beaver Show with Brittany Cardone. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and follow Jim Beaver 15, B Cardone 15, and Jim Beaver Show on social media. We're also on the web. Hit us up at jimbeaver15.com for all the latest. We'll see you next time.